Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. We have a great show for you today. Joining me in the studio is Jennifer Bigelow. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you.
So, Jennifer, why don't you tell the listeners what organization you're with and what you do? Then we'll dive a little bit more into your background. You have a fascinating nonprofit ministry that I'm really excited to dive into today.
Thank you. I am with Second Chance Support Network. I'm the executive director.
Excellent. And that was a position, we were talking a little bit in our pre-show, that you sought after. You went to them and you had a passion for this. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the organization?
So I had a passion to help people. I had heard about mentoring people coming out of jail and prison, how much it can reduce recidivism, which is anybody that's been in jail or prison has about 85% chance of going back to jail or prison within the first 3 years. But if they have a mentor, it's reduced to about 27%, which, can be life-changing.
Sure.
And so I had a loved one that got in trouble with the law. I started thinking about that. I had learned about it when I was in my 20s. And so I approached Jim Pruse, who was a jail chaplain at the time. I knew him through a program that I was going to at the Brighton Nazarene Church. And I said, hey, I have this great idea. I want to start a mentoring program. And through that conversation, found out that he had already started a mentoring program, but they didn't have anyone to run it. And as he put it, it was kind of on life support. And they were praying about, whether they should just shut it down or else praying for somebody to come along with a passion. And then I came to him. And so within about 6 months after that, I became the volunteer executive director.
Okay. And what was that like, being thrust into an organization, and kind of was this your first time in an executive director position?
Yes.
So what was that experience like, from basically taking something, as you said, that was on life support to bringing it to where it is today, nearly 10 years later?
I was very blessed to have Jim as my mentor. And he really taught me a lot, but it was almost overwhelming, because I did work a full-time job at the time. So I did this on nights and weekends and, like I said, lunch breaks and, whatever. And I'll never forget, he took me to my first meeting to meet with somebody that we were thinking to be, that would be a mentor. And so that was our first thing, is to start working on getting mentors. And I had to learn the training program so that I could train the mentors, because all of our mentors are trained. And then start working on getting with people, figuring out who do I have to talk to get people that are coming out of jail or prison. And so I think right in the kind of really early in the whole program, I sat down and talked to a couple probation officers, said, this is what I'm thinking of doing. This is how I'm thinking of doing it. And we are a Christian organization. And one of the big things I wanted to let them know, we're Christian, our mentors are Christian, but we're not. I don't want to force feed any clients that they have to be Christian.
Sure.
So that was really important. They were really enthusiastic about how I was planning on running it. Yeah. And I met with Mike Murphy, who was the undersheriff at the time, and just started forming some relationships with people in the community that could bring clients into our program. And that's how it got started.
That's tremendous. So that had to be a all hands on deck, everyone does every job type of situation to get it back to where it was stable.
Right. Yeah.
And how long from when you took over to when you guys said, okay, I think we have something here? How long was that period?
It wasn't very long. I think the first year we probably only had and I started in July of the year I started. And then I think I told you 2018. It was 2012. I've been doing this for 10 years. Yeah. And so it was probably just a few people the first year. And then after that, it just started kind of really taking off. I had to really rebuild some relationships with the parole officers so they understood what we were doing and how we were doing it with this group, which was basically me.
And how you were hoping to make their jobs easier.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And so, and then, it just started taking off. And when I was doing it part-time, the most I could probably handle at a time would be 50 clients and mentors.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah, that was all.
Oh, that's all, 50?
And it was quite overwhelming.
Part-time.
Yeah, I didn't do it part-time. I did it
super full-time.
I'm very happy I still have a marriage.
Sure.
And I was raising kids at the time too. Older. They were teenagers, but So yeah, it was a lot of work, and right off, probably in the second year, we started doing a fundraiser just so we could raise funds and start doing some more with our organization and really help out a little bit more.
That's awesome. So I want to dive into some of the deeper details of what it's like for a client to exit jail or prison and come into your ministry and what that program looks like. So where does someone start? Where do they get to at the peak? And then where does that relationship end or does it end?
So they can meet us in many different ways. A lot of the parole and probation officers will recommend them to us now. I do go into the jails once a month and meet with people coming out in the next 30 days. And jail or prison is totally different because jail is under your county jail. Prison is, I've had up to 41 years in prison, which if you think about that, they some of them have gone in before there was cell phones, before there was, smartphones and all that stuff.
Even the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's crazy. And so we have to really kind of take each individual, see where they're at, and kind of teach them. One, the mentoring is very important. I sit down, meet with them. I meet with every client that's coming into our program or is interested in coming into our program and find out what their needs are, where they're at, what's their criminal background look like? Have they been in and out of jail quite a bit, whatever. And then, and part of getting to know them is so that I can figure out which mentor I feel would be a good match for them.
Okay.
Because we have, we match men with men, women with women, and everybody has different personality, different characteristics.
Sure. Yeah. And experiences.
And experiences, exactly. Yeah. And then the other thing is what more do they need besides mentoring? We do life skills, which could be anger management, which, some of them come out, and especially like jail, I think they're still kind of angry because of what they've gone through. They could be angry. Or stress management. It's very stressful coming out into a whole new world. Or they've been so institutionalized, and now they're just like, I remember meeting this one young kid that came into our program. He was 20 years old. He had just got out of prison. He had been in for 7 years, which is just heartbreaking.
Sure. He
didn't have a GED. He didn't have, he was terrified. He looked like a doe in the headlights, deer in the headlights, and was just afraid that he was going to make the wrong move. And a lot of them are like that. They're just afraid that they're going to end up back in. And so we do, these different life skills. And financial management is another thing. They maybe never had really money to manage,
right?
Spent it maybe in the wrong ways. So we do that, and then we do like a job reintegration program because, when they're in prison, you learn if you look somebody in the eye, then you're challenging them.
Yeah, we're on fight.
And outside, if you don't look someone in the eye, you're not trustworthy.
It's disrespectful.
So it's just, some of those little things that maybe you and I may not think about, but it's really important to teach them.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
huge.
I've made a lot of connections with different companies to get them. We have, people calling us saying, hey, I'm looking for some people. I'd love to hire some of your clients. So we have a bucket full of jobs to help them out. We can get them in there.
That's really cool. And so talk to me about the mentor side of the nonprofit and how you guys recruit mentors, how you grow mentors, how many mentors are on the roster right now.
Right. So we probably have between 50 and 60 mentors on the roster right now. And we are a Christian organization, so that is like the one requirement is that they're Christian. So I do tend to go to different churches. I've talked in front of some different churches and told them what we do and what we're looking for. But they don't necessarily have to come from a church. And the mentors meet with the client once a week, one-on-one. Sometimes they're, the client's super busy, and so it might maybe be a phone call or a Zoom call. But we really encourage a one-on-one, face-to-face meeting and sit down with them, talk with them, find out what their needs are, what they're looking at. And one of the things that I always, they have sometimes blinders on. Like they're used to just looking at right now in the next moment. And so we need to help teach them how to broaden their outlook.
Yeah.
They're looking at how are they going to survive tomorrow, and we need to help them. One of the questions I always train my mentors to ask is, and so how do you think that's going to work out in the long term?
Sure.
And another thing is so sometimes they come and they're just venting and venting and venting week after week. And I said, that's not what we're there for. It's just to vent the same thing.
Right.
And so we'll say, so how are you going to fix that? What are your plans to change that? How is that, or else they're determined on making a decision that, maybe not real smart. We're like, and so how is that working for you? Just getting them, asking a lot of different questions to get them to really think differently than they have in the past. We're trying to do a holistic services to holistic wraparound services, not just one thing, wraparound services for them to have a fresh start instead of, yes, we're called second chance, but you don't want to go back to where you were and just start over. Let's just have a fresh start. Let's forget the past and go from here on forward is what our goal is.
Yeah, and I would imagine it would be somewhat difficult, too, to have robust, specific training because every person's story or why they were in prison or jail is so different.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and their background, which is what caused them to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would imagine that the mentors, it's, maybe you have to change a mentor. Maybe you have to say, hey, this person's a better fit or, and that has to be a very honest conversation between the client and just the team on your side of the house.
Yeah.
So
and that is one of the things I talk to the mentors about and the clients, saying, give it at least 3 meetings to get to know each other. And then if you feel it on either side that it's not right, then contact me and we will switch up your mentor.
Yeah, I like that. So when you have people that are in the program for a while, like what does success look like? And do people ever check out of the program? Like have they ever graduate out of it?
Yeah. So we have, just for an example, the young man I was talking to you about, that was like a deer in the headlights. He graduated out of the program. He was able to get a job. He had got a job in the beginning and then realized his anger was so intense that he couldn't work yet. So he had to work on his anger management. He had to work on getting a GED. He had to work on getting a driver's license, just like basic things so he could move on. And so he did, and he was able to. He moved across the country. He got his GED. He got a job. He got married. He had kids. Wow. So that was great. We have another gentleman. He was in jail or in prison. I'm sorry, for I think 20 years, 20 years, and he was hitting every roadblock because his crime was the one that everybody's like, nope, you can't live here. Nope, you can't work here. Nope, we don't want you around. And so, but he just kept putting one foot in front of the other and doing the right thing over and over again. And he now travels around the United States building tiny housing communities all over, and he is very successful.
That's really cool.
So, yeah, and success, it doesn't have to be that big. Success could be that they get their first apartment. That's huge. Success could be that they are not, they've been clean for, however months, 6 months. Every day is a
I would
success.
say ultimately the success is they don't go back in to where they were.
Yes. And that's how we measure it, is by that there's not going back in.
Yeah, it's huge. It's a tremendous program. In the pre-show, we talked a little bit about the store that you guys have. Yeah. This is kind of the part 2 of the business.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about that, how that got started, when that came into fruition.
So in, I think it was, I can't remember the dates real good. I think it was 2018. I went to my board, and I'm kind of, I have a lot of volunteers that come and help, where I'm basically the one-man band, basically. Okay. And so I went to my board and I said, hey, somebody had given me an idea of doing the resale store. And that was like in April, and by end of May, we had a lease, and we started a resale store. And in the beginning, we were going to do clothes, and we're going to do furniture, and we're going to do, a little bit of everything. And I soon realized that doing clothes are horrible. And so we do not do clothes, but we do furniture and appliances and decorative items and household goods. And the cool thing about it, it's a couple different things. One, it's great items that are donated to us that we can share with the community at a really low price. Also, it's a place that people that are in the judicial system that maybe isn't so far as needing a mentor, but they need somewhere to do community service and feel safe and respected and be treated kindly.
Sure.
We have a lot of people that come in and do community service. And then the other thing is if one of our clients, and I have done it for, if they weren't our clients, somebody's in a tight situation, doesn't have anything, or else they're getting their first apartment, then we can give them furniture, appliances, household goods, their needs that they need to get started and have a fresh start. So that is, we had a gentleman that just got out of prison that came, and we were able to give him a couch and a love seat and some end tables and dressers and kitchen table and dining room chairs and stuff like that, which is, it's really a great feeling to be able to get them on their feet.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably one of the areas that aren't focused on enough is how do we prevent people from going back into the system? It's kind of, we spend a lot of time and money on the system, but we don't really spend a lot of time on the pre and post of what we need to do to not get people to go there, or once they're there to not get people to go back.
Right.
So knowing
and that mentality of, well, they screwed up, throw away the key is not the right answer either.
Well, it's not helpful.
No.
It's not helpful for anything because you have you have this predetermined mindset that everyone that falls in that category is the exact same.
Right.
And that's not usually the best way to look at people.
Exactly.
So no, Jennifer, you've done a tremendous effort, you and everyone at that ministry. So if people want to learn more, get more involved, and you said you have some fundraisers coming up, you got some big events.
Yes.
What's the best place for them to learn more about you guys?
The best place where I'm able to keep the most stuff update is on Facebook.
Okay.
All our events, I put them under events on the Second Chance Support Network Facebook page. So that is a great place. They can always call the store and request to talk to me, and I'll talk to them. And then to find out more about the resale store and the sales that we do and whatever is at the Second Chance Resale Store Facebook page.
Great. And we'll be sure to put all of that information inside of the show notes for this episode. And before you go, Jennifer, I always ask all of our chamber guests the same 3 questions.
Okay.
Just to get to know you a little better. They're not difficult.
Okay,
It's not,
good.
we're not doing riddles or anything like that, I promise.
Okay.
But the first question that I ask is, what if someone was looking to go into a nonprofit or looking to go into that sector, and they're, let's say, 20, what advice would you give to them that you've learned over the last 10 to 15 years that you've been doing this that would help them on that journey?
To have a passion for what you're going to do. I can't imagine doing this, working for a nonprofit without having the passion.
Yeah.
You have to have the desire to, because you're not going to be the highest paid person out there. You're not going to, have the best of everything. But if you have a passion and you love what you're doing, then it's worth it. Definitely.
Love it. Second question is, what is something that you do in your downtime to unwind? If you have downtime, because I heard you rattle off the 4 part-time things that you're doing.
So we love to go up north, and we have a place up north, a Wolverine that we go up to,
nice.
and we love to go up there and spend time with family and loved ones.
I'm going to side rail this conversation. Is Camp Wolverine still a thing?
I think so.
Okay.
My husband grew up going, he's been up there. They lived up there for a year. It's my husband's side of the family. They've been there for years.
We went there in middle school.
I'll
never forget it, but
yeah.
I never wondered if it was.
I drove by it many times.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was still there.
Yeah.
Third question is, what is currently your favorite piece of technology?
I think my smartphone, because I can work anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a popular answer.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing, Jennifer, is tremendous. That's a huge service to the community, and more people need to know about it. So I will do my level best to make sure that we get the word out, so more people know about the great job that you're doing over there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Of course. Thank you for stopping in. All right, friends, that is going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I appreciate y'all listening. If you can do me a favor, drop a review on Apple, Spotify, and be sure to share with all your friends and family so they can learn more about not only what Jennifer's doing, but also what the other business owners and entrepreneurs are doing in the Livingston County area associated with the Chamber. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.